Welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast. We are here to bring you our insights, Tony Valente and Len. So we've got a really big match, two title matches, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. And then we see Dominic Reyes taking on Jan Blachowicz for the vacant 205 title. These are the main things. And in the background, we've got Diego Sanchez, who's trying to make a comeback, or will this be his retirement fight? Now, we could start with the main card. You've got the more technical Israel and the Paulo Costa, who's, I was asking you, is he technical enough? He's physically a brute. Everybody looks at him. Physically, he's impressive. Israel's taller and leaner. Paulo's more built, bulky, like a tank. How do you see this fight going?
Yes, but if you look at his technique, he's put in 1,000,000 hours of solid basics. He punches straight. His left hook is perfect. People see what they want to see, but he's very, very technical.
Now, I don't see, like the match that went on, Israel's last match, where he seemed to be avoiding, the big Cuban running away. I don't see that going down the same way. I see this guy closing distance. Costa, I see him closing distance.
Their styles are different, and you can't judge a guy on one fight. You can't for the rest of his life say, "Oh, you ran." You know what I'm saying? It just we got to live in like the now,
mm-hmm.
And they're two completely different type fighters.
So which style do you think suited to take it, or do you have a preference? Like, are you leaning like it could go either way, or do you have which way are you leaning between Israel and Paulo Costa?
I think the semi-main event is actually going to be a more exciting fight,
mm-hmm.
because Israel has to take him into deeper water because he's just too explosive and too accurate.
So
you're gonna have to try to slow the fight down and then make him hesitate a little bit, and then he can start picking him apart. But there's no way he's just going to stand there and deal with that guy. There's no way.
Now, are they fighting? I heard something. They're possibly fighting in the smaller cage. Would that favor the guy that loves to close? Would that favor Costa? You know what I mean? Or does people say that doesn't make a difference? Some people say it does. I don't know.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
There's no jogging away on that deal. Go ahead.
No, regular size octagon. I mean, the smaller octagon makes a big difference.
Yeah. It should be I'm feeling I'd like to see an upset just because I like Costa's exciting way to watch, the way he fights. But then if Israel wins, I won't feel bad either. But that's just kind of my leanings. I'm not the expert. This is feeling choice picks for the fights. Now, Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz, they're fighting. John Jones left the title vacant. Reyes is very athletic. He's proven himself. He did pretty well against Jones. And Blachowicz never went against Jones. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards Reyes on this one. What's your feeling on this fight?
Reyes is going to be landing some bombs on this guy. I'm telling you.
I mean, Jan's durable, but I think Dominic,
he's going to give up some freebies, and I'm telling you, he's going to get hit with some shots, man. I'm telling you.
So, yeah, you're feeling Reyes. Now, the last guy I'm going to talk about, this card's kind of long, and we're just going to make this short and sweet. But Diego Sanchez, Jake Matthews. Diego's trying to reinvent himself. Can he reinvent himself? Do you think he has enough to stay? He's fighting to keep his job. Do you think he has enough to stay, or does he end up retired from this fight?
As you get older, your IQ increases, but your skills diminish. And his striking never really improved. I mean, he has no head movement, and he stands there with his face on the center line. So it's just going to be the same guy, probably in a new pair of shorts. He's going to take a lot of shots.
Yeah, Jake Matthews has won his last two fights. I see him taking that away. Now, you were talking about something earlier, because we've seen a lot of changes in the podcasting world. Like Joe Rogan has moved to Texas. A lot of people have moved out of LA. That changes the dynamic of podcasting. But you were saying he bought a crazy $14 million house because he signed that huge $100 million contract.
But think about it. A $14 million house in Texas would probably be a $100 million house in Los Angeles.
So true. I mean, have you seen a picture of this monstrosity? I'm presuming it's.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's unbelievable. But here's the thing. Joe needs to get a little bit weird or eccentric, or maybe have like a petting zoo, or maybe have alien artifacts on his property. He can't just be a regular guy anymore because he has too much money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the world is changing, and it's interesting. Freedom of speech, this ties in two of our conversations. Basically, I read the other day that people that worked at Spotify were trying to censor some of Joe's content. And that's not freedom of speech. And these are workers, like, we're going to go on strike if you don't do this, trying to hold the owners or the CEO's feet to the fire. We live in a crazy time where people are like, I want to cancel you. I want to get rid of your show. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's the first time that pigeons basically have a platform. So these people are not going to make Spotify 20 cents, and Joe Rogan is going to take 100 million listeners over there. So it doesn't matter what they say. They can be replaced very easily. It's
kind of messy because the moment that he signed with them for the $100 million contract, they benefited right there. He didn't even have to show up and do another episode because their stock went up supposedly.
Yeah, exactly. It gave them job security. But, people are full of hate and jealousy, and, everybody wants their 10 seconds of popularity.
Now, you were talking earlier about how Colby Covington's been going on, and, we were watching the fight from last weekend against Tyron Woodley, and they both kind of had a political or side they were choosing. What do you think about that being in the sport, and what is freedom of speech anymore in this world where everybody can either cancel you or shout you down? I mean, it's kind of a strange time. Wouldn't you agree?
I believe in freedom of speech. And if he believes something that's crazy, then, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, most black people don't support it. And every time I see people marching, it's white people. So,
True.
So I just feel after the election, whoever's financing them is going to pull their lunch money, and that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah, that'll probably happen.
And as far as him saying LeBron James is a coward, in 2 years, Kobe won't even be remembered. And you got to think about it from a business standpoint of view. LeBron James makes his employer billions of dollars. Kobe pays for Dana's gas money and maybe Make America Great Again hat. So, if you look at it from a financial standpoint, and, it's business, and he's created a character, but, people that know him, they don't believe all that hatred and stuff. There's just no way.
Well, you're talking about the cold, hard truth about a fighting career. Very few make it to the tip top of the pyramid and have a longevity to retire and live in comfort. There's like 4 or 5 guys, and gals, including Ronda Rousey, that kind of reach that financial, like, if you don't screw this up, you could coast for the rest of your life. And, most of the people, they end up as personal trainers or teachers at schools. I mean, that's the thing. Like you said, that it's a flash in the pan, the fame on fighting. You're here today. And I mean, who do you think's lasted the longest?
Well, he's just not that good.
Yeah. So you think one of his next, what do you think he's going to do against Jorge?
Well, if he fights Jorge, he's just going to get destroyed. If he has a rematch against Usman, he's going to get destroyed again, probably get his jaw busted again. He's just not that good. And, not that it would ever happen, but Habib would retire him.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? He's just not that good.
I guess you have the spark, but then you have to put the meat on the table. You can advertise a great dinner, but if you're not delivering it, it is what it is.
But think about it. Dennis Rodman had 20 rebounds a game for 7 years and 2 championship rings before he dyed his hair pink and put on lipstick and fur coats to increase his income. Look at the resume that he built.
Right.
This guy is just not that good.
Well, it's just drastically different in different sports. You get 1 or 2 fights a year, where basketball, you're on a whole season. You play 20, 30 games. I mean, you're there all the time.
Well, you actually play 80 games. So
80 games, yeah.
Yeah.
That was being light. Like the average guy, he might not play in everything. But yeah, you're right. So the longevity, so people that make their mark will always be remembered. I mean, people like Habib, people like Connor, and you know, even people still
Well,
remember.
look what Connor makes his employer. You got to realize UFC is an employer and the fighter is the employee. And
Yeah.
Connor made UFC a lot of money, and his
Yeah.
fights were exciting. Like
Yeah.
Connor was doing damage to people.
That's true. What's your health tip of the week, Tony?
A lot of people, you know, everybody says green tea, green tea, green tea. But here's the thing with green tea. If you buy it and it's already crushed up and you pour hot water on it, most likely it's filled with pesticides. So always try to get the tea leaf because the leaves carry less pesticides. And right now, the metal levels and pesticide levels in people are through the roof, which is causing all kinds of issues.
That's really interesting because I know there's a lot of people peddling it. I mean, it's just like you're in a diet drink, diet this, and then you look or you go protein bar and it has 28 grams of sugar. It's like green tea now. I didn't even think about that. You're always thinking a level deeper than me, man. I do see them, and I do think some of those are definitely doubtful vendors. They just putting the name on the label, right? So how do you distinguish?
Well, no, you know what? There's just different levels to everything. So, you know, just like with this main event fight, some people will say, oh, it's just a bull against a matador. But both of these guys are so highly skilled that the average person, they're not going to be able to see that. They don't have that kind of fight IQ.
Yeah. And one thing we're definitely going to arrive at, no matter what, you can bet on this, there's going to be a new 205 champion, no matter what. We can't say
Absolutely.
we can't say that.
To me, that's going to be really interesting fight because I'm telling you, somebody's going to be eating some bombs. I'm telling you.
Well, when I'm closing out here, I want to say that thank everybody for subscribing. We've got so many new subscribers on our channel, probably because of Javier's videos that he's been sending in. And I might be joining him shortly and make some really killer videos for you guys. So stay tuned to this channel. Make sure you subscribe. And always check in with me and Tony. We just give our opinions. We're all part of the team with Javier. This is the channel. And thank you for your support.